welcome to Taylor Craft Studios today. Really glad that you can join us and help me make this bookcase builder card. I've used a few different elements. I'm using at the moment the home and hearth framelit dies just to create that window. It's amazing how quick this card actually came together. It's a brick wall embossing folder, which I'm just inking up with white crafting just so I can get a little bit more definition on the brick lines. And running that through the Big Shot. So I made sure to put it on the raised part of the embossing folder and not the indented part. So there's the window. And now I'm going to create my indoor scene. So I'm just deciding on where to put the bookcases now. And then I realised that the window might cover up some of them, so I'm just going to make a little mark to show me where the window frame goes to on my cardstock. These are the inks I'm using. I'm using Early Espresso for the shelves, and then I'm using Crumb Cake for the lamp element. My second shelf. And I just stamped the frame on one of the negative pieces of the window framelit, and I'm going to pop that up on a dimensional just to give it a little bit more interest on the inside of the house, if you like. I used Lost Lagoon for the leaves of the pot plant. Here I am just trimming the frame. Later on I put a little Lost Lagoon heart on the inside of that frame. Use the deer antler element stamp for just to complete my scene. I felt now that the bottom shelf was probably a little bit empty, but the bottles, there's too much on that bottle stamp, so I just chose one of the bottles and coloured it with Dapper Denim, the same colour that I used the pot plant pot, and now I just define the edges of the stamped image just to give it a little bit more definition, a bit of shading. And that's my scene. Just use the foam adhesive strips now to pop the window frame onto my scene. And then we have a completed background. I'll pop that onto my brick wall. I'm actually using a sketch from the Papercraft crew. So there's a couple of little elements that I needed to add to complete the sketch. But first of all, I put that onto the Early Espresso card base, which is just a half A4 piece of cardstock. And I needed to add some flags at the top and then the sentiment down the bottom. So I'm just off doing that now. I struggled a little bit choosing the DSP I was going to use. So that's what I'm doing now, looking for DSP. Sorry about the lag. I chose these two, but I ended up not using them. So let's go on to something else. I wasn't happy with them, so I didn't glue them down. I just left them. I decided to do the sentiment. The sentiment comes from Live, Love, Grow, which is a fantastic stamp set in the annual catalogue. And the font is beautiful. I used some Versamark on some early espresso cardstock with some white embossing powder. I stamp it down, but I think my Versamark ink pad needs re-inking. So after I heat set it, it wasn't a really clear image, so I decided to turn it over and do it again. It was a bit speckled. And this time I was smart enough to get out my embossing buddy, so you'll see that now. The embossing buddy is something that I've had it for a long time, but I've only really started to use it a lot in recent times, probably the last 3 or 4 months. I use it regularly. It's really good. I don't know why I didn't use it before. So I'm just trimming the sentiment piece down, and then I'll pop that up on a foam dimensional strip like I did for the windows. I finally found some DSP that I was happy with for the flags, and I used a very old small flag punch to create them quickly. I mean, this is easy enough to do if you just cut some centimetre strips and flag them yourself. It's not hard. It's a Lost Lagoon DSP paper, and then some from our holiday catalogue. I think it was last year. And then I used the Urban Underground embellishments just to finish it off. I'm really happy with this card. I really enjoyed using the Bookcase Builder stamp set. I hope you will be too. I'd love you to have a go, case my card. If you do, make sure you come down to my website, Tailored Craftiness. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.